Good evening. I am Anatoliana Chalisa, and this is Patriots Must Rise. Um, Today we got some good signs that pendulum, the political pendulum, is actually swinging back the other way. A little bit more proof that Vladimir Putin is not the bad guy. We got a woman that if she was white, it would be considered a hate crime, and she would be put on death row. But instead, this is a black woman, so they slap her wrist, and eventually she'll be considered a hero. We have a coward of a father that probably should be put in the grave himself for not doing the right thing during the trial. But most importantly, every election so far this year that has happened in the EU has rejected every liberal idea. The pendulum is swinging the other way. Let's enjoy it. I want you to look around and tell me what's missing. This is June. Last year, at this time, every other tree in my neighborhood was hanging a pride flag. I work in Portland, Oregon. There is no scheduled pride parades this year. So did the left go too far and they finally realize it? Are they afraid of the retribution of threatening our kids because last year they were screaming, "We're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children"? I don't know. But I do know this. Not one rainbow, and it's beautiful. Did it skip us?
Approaching Grand Road. Transfer to Route 6 nearby.
She's trying to wake me up. In priority seating, you are required to move for seniors and people with disabilities. Today is June 11th, 2024, and yet another incident on the 80 C-Tran bound for the mall, where the driver is asking me to move from priority seating in favor of a woman with a stroller. The reason that this is a violation is I'm visually impaired, and if I get up and move and I trip, C-Tran's liable. Beside that, all over the bus it says priority seating, you are required to move for seniors and people with disabilities. Since when is a woman with a child disabled simply because she has a child? All right. I've established pretty well, I think, that I am not without my limits in the workplace. In fact, on Friday, I'm going to be going to Social Security to figure out which account my Social Security is going into. The reason that I am so angry about these mothers taking advantage and stealing the priority seating has a lot more to do with their lack of respect for their own child. Think about it. By them sitting there, they are literally saying, my child is such a burden that I am disabled. By them sitting there, they are literally saying that everybody that has ever been born was such a burden on their mothers or their parents that they probably shouldn't have been born. Is that the message that we really want to send to our offspring, to the future of our country? Just something to think about. Anyway, I got a lot more coming up. This is far from over. So, stick with me. Tonight is June 13th. It is about, let's see, it is about 00:30. And As you will see, or as you have seen on this particular video or episode, I am not pulling any punches. There's a lot of anger and frustration in these videos, and I think justifiably so. Okay, over the course of the week, I have been told to move or by the bus driver, or asked to move by a patron of the bus. Countless times. And it's always for something stupid. I have the right to say no. But rather than cause a scene and stall the bus, I am going to do my best to find some place that I can safely move to and just keep the bus moving to its destination. This last one was an elderly woman in her own right. So I would have made sure that she had a seat closer to the front anyway. But the reason that she gave was for a cooler. I'm sorry, no. If that was a vital organ that was going to be transplanted, it would have been life flighted in, or on an ambulance on the way to the hospital. If it was any other reason, it just doesn't qualify. And I've already talked about the frustration that I have about strollers. Strollers in Vancouver and Portland on the bus is a big one. Basically, this new generation of mothers are so entitled that they don't seem to understand that by implying that their child is reason enough to sit down in the disabled section, it's insulting anybody that has ever been born. By saying that you were too much of a burden to your mother for her to be able to function. It should piss everybody off that these women are doing this. But of course, the liberals don't see it that way. They just say, give her the seat. No, the seats are reserved for elderly, disabled, or elderly and disabled, and you are required to move. In fact, when I get done here, I'll put up a photograph of the sign that is on every bus in Portland and Vancouver. It says the same thing. But it doesn't matter, because getting in the face of these woke, entitled pieces of garbage that somebody actually had the nerve to touch. I mean, seriously, if you're going to get something pregnant, make sure it's not woke, please. Here's the thing, and this is something that most of the content creators that happen to be liberal overlook or conveniently neglect when they make their content. Conservatives, even though we don't even though we follow the rules, we believe in God and so on, we also believe that liberals are Satan. So we're not going to follow the rules when it comes to exterminating you. Okay? When somebody literally says, I dare you to stop me from going into a woman's restroom, a lot of us would love to see you go into that woman's restroom, because that would be reason enough for you to be found in the trash compactor. That would be reason enough for you to be beaten to such a point that the firefighters don't have anything to pick up. They'd have to literally mop you up or use a shovel. So I understand that you think that just because you feel entitled or whatever, and you think you can get away with stuff simply because you are whoever you think you are. But the reality is, if you actually break certain rules within our society, it doesn't matter if the police will arrest us. It doesn't matter if the judge is going to throw the book at us. The only thing that matters after that point is that you die. Okay? Because it's the safety of our child versus shoveling up the refuse left over from basically liquidating a fat man that thinks it's a girl. Just something to think about. Now I dare you to go into a woman's restroom. With the exception of Donbass, Putin is saying that he will withdraw from Ukraine, providing that Russia is able to keep the Donbass region and that Ukraine will not enter NATO. All of this is very reasonable. The one thing that I have to stress is this is the second time that Putin has said that he will withdraw.
We heard the screams in the parking lot as we were parking or walking to our car, and we saw the kid.
Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind bars.
Okay. One thing that I have to stress is this woman went into a store, specifically stole a knife to kill these people. This was premeditated. There is no way to deny that. So basically, because of the fact that it's a black on white crime, she's getting a slap on the face. She's getting a slap on the wrist. It should be extremely offensive to anybody. And then, and this offends me beyond reality. Dad just wants the judge to make sure that she stays behind bars for as long as possible. No. It is not the role of the courts to avenge family. Ever. That dad should be pissed, should be completely angry. It should be obvious that he is angry. And he should have used the fact that she is in the proximity, in the freaking courtroom, to reach over, rip out her trachea, and break her neck. But I live in a different world.
It is a crime so horrific that it's hard to put into words. The mother and her 3-year-old son who were viciously attacked in a grocery store parking lot in the middle of the day. The boy didn't survive his devastating stab wounds. But police say they caught the alleged killer just minutes later with the knife still in her hand. We're discussing Bianca Ellis's arrest and bizarre arraignment with criminal defense lawyer Diane Menashe. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is a Law and Crime legal alert. Google Incognito tracked users' browsing data without their knowledge. Yep, while Mass Tort Alliance, one of our legal sponsors, is helping users file for compensation due to Google users' privacy issues surrounding Google Incognito. So if you've used Google Incognito anytime since 2016, you can start your claim in less than 10 questions. Just go to incognitoclaims.com/sidebar. Well, you may have heard by now about this little boy who was butchered outside of an Ohio supermarket as his mother tried desperately to stop this apparently unprovoked attack. It is absolutely horrible. And there is a new video from an Ohio courtroom that shows the accused killer, Bianca Ellis, appearing to have absolutely no remorse for her action. 38-year-old Margot Wood and her 3-year-old son, Julian, were leaving the Great Eagles supermarket in North Olmsted, Ohio. This is outside of Cleveland. It was just the middle of the afternoon on Monday, June 3rd. Margot was loading groceries in the back of her car. Julian was sitting in the cart. And police have said that this appeared to be a random act of violence and that Ellis had no contact with Julian and his mom prior to this stabbing, which makes it just all the more eerie. There is graphic and disturbing 911 phone calls that started to come in to dispatch where you get a better sense of what was going on.
911, what is your emergency?
There's a lady with a knife stabbing somebody in the North
Where?
The Giant Eagle.
She's stabbing somebody?
She's stabbing. She's walking
North Olmsted units, start responding to North Olmsted Giant Eagle. We have several calls of somebody with a knife trying to stab people.
Right there, stop.
Do you have a description of her?
Yeah, she's a black female. We got eyes on her. She's walking towards Lorraine.
Oh, she's outside now?
She's outside walking
Okay.
with a knife in hand.
This is going to be a black female walking towards Lorraine Road with a knife.
Black female with a black shirt, black leggings.
All black?
Right here, you're not going to follow. All
Is,
black.
is anybody injured?
Yeah, somebody's injured. I think this kid was stabbed and the mother's holding.
Okay, hold on a minute. Ma'am, don't hang up the phone. I'm just going to keep you on hold. I got to get an ambulance heading there, okay?
CPR is in progress as per one caller.
And you're not injured?
I am not injured. We heard the screams in the parking lot as we were parking or walking to our car, and we saw the kid.
Yes.
Now, before the attack, Ellis was allegedly seen on surveillance video outside of a thrift store holding the knife that police believe was used in that attack. North Olmsted detectives say that Ellis was inside the Volunteers of America thrift store where she took the knife. So in addition to a litany of assault and murder charges, Ellis also faces a theft charge for allegedly stealing that knife. Now, investigators say Ellis then allegedly spotted Julian and his mom inside the Great Eagle store, followed them into the parking lot, this all before the vicious stabbing. Body cam video from police on the scene just shows how absolutely chaotic this was.
Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind bars.
Men like this are exactly what is wrong with this country. A woman just casually comes up and stabs his son, murders his son, stabs his wife, and he's handing justice over to the authorities? No, that's not how it works. He should be ripping the throat out of that piece of shit. Should be breaking its neck and breaking every bone in its body so the coroner can't figure out what gender it actually is. That's justice.
Lefty losers got trounced in elections all over Europe. Bad news for Macron and his cronies. Marine Le Pen got more than double Macron's vote. He was forced to call parliamentary elections for the end of the month. Brown on the map is where people voted for Le Pen. She won every single department besides Paris. In Belgium, Prime Minister Alexander De Croo literally started blubbering after finding out his party got just 5.8% of the vote. He then promptly resigned. Bye. While the populist Vlaams Belang Party and the New Finnish Alliance gained massive ground. In Germany, the political establishment lowered the voting age to 16, thinking it would obliterate the right-wing vote. The AfD came equal first place with the CDU in the youth vote of people aged under 24, when around a third of the continent is voting for parties labelled far-right. And 70% of Europeans think their country takes in too many immigrants. They're not far-right, they're just right.
Okay, a little bit of an update from our neighborhood Rainbow Queer Pride Sparkle Creed Church. They have shut their doors, and they have shut their doors forever. There's containers outside of the building to basically gut the building so it can be leased again. It is no longer a church. So, as I said in the beginning of this video, internationally, the pendulum is swinging the other way. Because of the obscene pride movement of last year, Pride has no momentum this year. They are terrified to march down the streets at all this year. And rightfully so. They threatened our kids. They walked down the street screaming, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." Well, if you're here, you're queer, and you're coming for our children, and the schools are already indoctrinating us or our children with queer theory, and there's already pornography in the school libraries. Why are we supposed to believe you when you start screaming that it was a joke? Please don't hurt us. No, none of us did. None of us did believe you. So, yeah, the pendulum's swinging the other way. And it's a blessing. So that is what I have for today's episode. This one went a little bit longer than I intended, but it's all good information. So please like, subscribe, live free, die well, and love your neighbor as Christ has loved you. I am Anatoly Anatolisova, and this is Patriots Must Rise.